There's a way to make an entrance.
This is my destiny.
It was now a conspiracy of witches.
Download Veely today.
There are around 700,000 people on the autistic spectrum in the UK. That's more than 1 in 100.
We fought to get him diagnosed.
It's really isolating.
Oh, so isolating. Don't look at autism as like a bad thing. It's just changed me as a person.
So today I'm going to sit down with 2 guests who have autistic children who can tell us all about it. So, Stacey, what is your experience?
I think me personally, I have a son called Jacob. He's 3, nearly 4, and we fought to get him diagnosed. He was 17 months when he started seeing signs or red flags of autism, and everyone keeps saying that I was going absolutely crazy, that he's fine, boys are late talkers, they're late developers, and I think I found that really, really hard because I just always knew that he was more quirky, he was a bit different. He didn't have a level of understanding that I felt a child his age should have, if that makes sense. You know, playing with a toy but not playing with a car, rolling it. He'd rather like play with the wheels and just wouldn't know how to play with it, unless it was like one of them that, you know, you press and it makes lots of noise and it just keep pressing it. Also, a lot of his red flags as well was not like I suppose they say the normal autism flags. So Jacob loved cuddles. He still does now. He loves being cuddled, which was really hard because they was like, your son can't be autistic if he loves cuddles. He was just a very loving boy and they just expected him to be violent all the time. And I think that's what I found hard.
Yeah,
what about you?
that's really interesting because it sounds like we've had really similar experience in that we had difficulty getting our son diagnosed as well. Zach was our first son, so I think in some ways the pressures were different in that we didn't know anything about parenthood at all. Yeah. So we were thinking, is this normal? Maybe this is normal. Yeah, it just took ages and we faced the same things. You know, people saying, oh no, it can't be autism because this is what autism is and your son isn't presenting in that way.
For us, I didn't know anything about autism. My husband's cousin has autism and he's 23, but no one in the family knew he had autism. We just knew that he had a special needs. Like, that's it. No one discussed it. I'm the opposite. I am so open about Jacob's journey. I've said it from the beginning. The moment I see signs, I put it out on the internet, didn't I?
I find it really interesting that you both have sons who are autistic because boys are 5 times more likely to be diagnosed than girls. So hearing both of you guys speak, already it sounds intense, and not just intense from not understanding your child, but how it impacts your life.
It became very difficult when he was 5 or 6 because we were still struggling.
Yeah.
We hadn't got a diagnosis and it's really isolating.
Oh, so isolating. Completely agree. I think thankfully Jacob was diagnosed very early. He was like 17 months when I first showed him and he got diagnosed when he was 2. But again, that's something that I fought for because I know early intervention is key with autism. And they kind of see it and they diagnosed him. And to be honest, when I come out of the diagnosis appointment, I was mixed. Because one half of you still think, are they going to tell me it's not? Do you know what I mean? Or the other half is like, okay, I know now what? Because I didn't get anything. I didn't get a leaflet. Nothing.
No.
They said, I'll see you in a year, and we still haven't seen them since.
So speaking of diagnosis, if you could both go back in time, what would you tell yourself with the knowledge you've got now?
One of the things with Zach he finds very difficult is transition. Like he really, really needs routine. And it took us ages to work out all we needed to do. Well, not all, because there's problems everywhere. But we started making him like little visual diaries of his day. And we'd explain to him and prepare him for changes. And if I could have told myself to go back and start preparing more and making sure that he had routines better, I think that would have helped us a lot.
The only thing I would tell myself is that there is a light at the end of the tunnel. And don't look at autism as like a bad thing. Like autism for me has brought me, it's just changed me as a person. Like, I can't imagine Jacob without autism. Jacob is him, and he's always been him.
I don't know if you found this, and it sounds like you probably did, but what I found really difficult was that the one element of your child's autism that all of your friends can spot is meltdowns. And then you start getting judgment, and like this, I don't know which is worse, and this sounds awful, but I don't know if judgment is worse than the people who'd say, have you tried?
Yeah. There's a lot of programs you see on TV and it's just constantly the child just hitting their mum, just constantly, and it's like, that is awesome.
Yeah.
That's not.
And my son's like really funny. He has a really kind of offbeat
so
sense of
does
humour.
mine.
And that's the bit that people don't see. That's really hard. And I think we do also put loads of pressure on ourselves. Like all parents put pressure on themselves, but we did this thing where we were determined to get him to go to children's parties, and we were thinking that it's really important for him to socialise, but it was a nightmare for him and it was a nightmare for us, and in the end you just got to like give it up, haven't you?
And I was the complete opposite, and everyone must have thought, I don't know who she thinks she is at family things, because I was like, I'm not coming, it's going to be too loud for him, and that's it. Like, and people would be like, he runs your life. Anything to make my son more confident, fine by me.
So speaking of the world, now that, and so your son's 12, your son's 3, what would you like the world to know about autism, especially when it comes to the judgment, the public meltdowns?
I think what I'd like people to know is that it's not something to be terrified about. It's not a terrifying thing.
Like he said, it's not the end of the world. There's life after autism. And I think we think that. I did, I'll be totally honest with you, when I first Googled Jacob's red flags and I see autism, I was like, what the hell? Like,
and what were some of the earliest red flags? Just to...
I think the first, if I'm going to be totally honest, if I look back now, the first ever red flag I see for Jacob was when he was first born. Oh. And he had his injection in his foot. I can't remember which one it was.
I remember that injection.
And he didn't cry. He didn't move. He didn't flinch. What were yours?
Yeah, it's the same sort of thing. Well, we were later. It was about 2, or I think the first time we ever thought about it was when he was roughly around 2, and we'd read somewhere in a book that children of the age of 2 should have around 50 words in their vocabulary, but I think Zach had maybe 5. Yeah. And also we started to notice things like we could not do anything spontaneously. He really needed structure. Yeah. And those were 2 things. And also he was very sensitive as well, so he hated labels in the back of his clothes, or he hated the seams in his t-shirt. Yeah.
Jacob is the complete opposite. He loved tags.
Oh, really?
And that's so important, because I think people always put it down, if your child, you know, is this way, then they're autistic. But if they're not, then they can't be. Your child doesn't have to just fit into what the government or what they say is autism traits, if that makes sense, or autism red flags.
So what I'm getting from the conversation, and it's important for those watching at home to know, is that honestly, if you feel like something isn't right, go and get it checked out.
So Keith, your son's a lot older than my child.
Yeah.
What is life like with a 14-year-old?
12.
12, yes.
Yeah. I think the good thing is I think I've got positive news in the things like hitting and kicking. The physical side of it definitely lessens. I found got lesser as Zach was more able to communicate.
Yeah. It is out of
able to
frustration,
express
isn't it?
himself.
A lot. Yeah.
As that changed, that definitely got better. But I think the harder things, I think what comes in then is the whole kind of social and peer relationships become much harder. Yeah. Zach is very different from all of his peers. And I think that's quite difficult to deal with. That's the next stage, really.
Yeah.
Of all the other boys growing up, reading books, going to the cinema.
Their interests as well.
Yeah, exactly. Their interests broaden. And Zach's haven't in the same way. So I think that's very difficult. And again, it's all about sort of, I guess, networking with parents and finding other children that
are
got
the
similar,
same age as
and who, like my son's really into video games, and in fact,
and has he always been like that from young?
I mean, I write about video games for a living, and I'm obsessed with it.
Has it been a good way as well for you to connect with him as well and understand him more through that?
Yeah, I mean that really changed our lives. So there's a video game called Minecraft, and a lot of children on the autism spectrum have found it really helpful because there's no rules or missions or anything. You can just go into this world and build stuff. And that really helped us. And it helped as well because it meant that we could have friends from school around. And although my son wasn't very good at talking to them, he could sit down and play this game with them.
You both sound so hopeful. And I just get the feeling that you've both unlocked levels of yourself, not just as parents, but as people that potentially you would never have found had your son's not been diagnosed. Am I wrong for feeling like
100%.
that? Or...
No, 100% for me. It has completely changed me as a person. Like, I've always been, I think, just from family history and stuff like that, there's been a lot happen in my life, and I've always kind of been like a dimmy down, I suppose. But with Jacob, he has made me see the world in such a different way that it's going to sound really crazy, but I am always positive, always positive, because I just feel like there's so much stuff that can happen in life that I'm so grateful for what I have and how he's made me see the world, how he's made me, my relationship with my husband's completely changed. And I know they say, a lot of families break up and stuff like that. It really made me just appreciate everything more, like the little things. Oh my God, the little things now are huge. Like Jacob couldn't eat with a spoon, and he can now eat with a spoon. Like I cry for 4 days in a row, like every time he did it, because I literally couldn't help. I can't. He's eating with a spoon. Like, do you know what I mean? I just think it's changed me so much and just made me a better person. Not that I thought I was a horrible person.
So let's move on to our trusted friend Google in Ask the Internet. And I'm going to leave space for you guys to interject, because as much as I love a Google, I'm sitting with real professionals here. So we're going to ask the Internet, what are the signs of autism? Your baby or toddler doesn't make eye contact.
I mean, that's reasonably common,
Yeah,
isn't
it
it?
is. It definitely is reasonably common.
Okay.
I mean, I wouldn't say Jacob was the best at eye contact. He's really good now, but he's not the best. If he's upset or something like, he won't give you eye contact.
Respond to his or her name or the sound of a familiar voice. Did you find that they weren't doing that, like Jacob not responding to his name? Okay, so that's quite okay, Google, you get some points.
Yeah, that works.
Okay, point or wave goodbye or use other gestures to communicate.
100% for Jacob. He still can't do any of them now.
Okay.
Even up to now.
Definitely at Jacob's age, that was quite similar. He would use lots of physical gestures. He would also rely on repetitive phrases. He had difficulty with language. So what he really loved eating, and he still does, is peanut butter and cheese sandwiches. But he would just refer to that as butter cheese. So he would just wander around the house asking for butter cheese. And that's,
Okay. Does not initiate or respond to cuddling or reach out to be picked up.
I think it's on their terms.
Yes, it's got to be on their terms when they want to do it.
Okay. Your child does not play with other people or share interests and enjoyment.
Zach is quite happy to play by himself, and he does find it difficult to interact with other children. Like team sports are a complete no-go. But if it's something, again, it's like on their terms.
I was about to say, Jacob is the complete opposite. He will not leave us alone. Honestly, you would never catch him playing with himself anywhere.
Yeah.
Like, honestly, I don't know why. Maybe it's just his personality as well. But you think, okay, he's got a toy, he may play with that. He'll go over to it, bring it all the way over to you and want you to play with it all the time.
Yeah, that's definitely true. But with Zach, there's two things, video games and Lego. If he gets a Lego set, he will sit and build the whole thing. Doesn't matter if it's like 50,000 pieces of Lego, he will sit and play it. He will sit and do that until it's done. And with video games, he'll sit and do that. But yeah, you are right, Zach does require a reasonable amount of co-play.
Honestly, I would say Jacob's is 99.9%. Like, honestly. He would just need us 24/7 to do stuff with him. Even if it's the iPad, he'll want me to sing the iPad song with him. He wants me next to him. If I walk out the room, he follows me with the iPad. And he just wants, like, you want to sit down?
Yeah, he's a bit like that with my wife as well. So again, it's like, it's really not clear.
Is it? Because I'm looking at the questions and I'm thinking of your answers, and it's like, it's not clear. So like we said before, if your instinct says that, you think your child is on the spectrum of being autistic, you should go and get
100%, because once you've met one child with autism, you've met one child with autism. Every child is completely different.
Yeah.
What do you think about the discussion? Don't forget to leave a comment below, and I'll see you very soon.